Good evening, one and all. Welcome to the second session of our webinar series conducted as a part of Data Science Weekend, organized by Girls Script Trichy. I'm Aditi from NIT Trichy and I'll be your host for this session. We request all of you to keep your video layout in active speaker mode if you haven't done that before and have a better experience. So I hope you all have switched to active speaker mode. Next, we bring to you an alumnus of Indian Institute of Information Technology, Allahabad, who has worked as a data scientist at IBM, Infinite Scientist at Microsoft India. Hello, Mr. Snigdha.
Working, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So currently I'm working as an applied data scientist at Microsoft India and with collaboration with Microsoft Research. So I hope the session today will cover regarding the industrial applications, industrial aspects of data science. So before we get started, I'll just you yeah. Yeah. So before we get started, I will just try to cover of what I want to cover today. So the data science, like the data has become an asset for everything, like something that gets abundant. Like when the amount of that increases, the demand decreases. Like if somebody becomes more available, then the demand usually decreases. But in case of data, it is just a reverse. The data, when it gets more and more available, the demand is getting increasing day by day. So such the demand of data scientist. So today I'll cover the job profiles that are currently available by different companies for data science. So I will try to focus on two level category of jobs. So level 1 and level 2. So level 1 category, I'll cover data analyst, data engineers, and automation engineer. These three category I'll cover in level 1. And in level 2, I'll cover data scientist, machine learning engineer, machine learning scientist, and finally the research scientist. Okay, so I will try to focus on how these job profiles float around the market and what skills you need to be available for that job and what kind of work you do filing the profile. So you should be very clear about those, because these things, like sometimes people get confused about the job profiles and they mess around. Okay, so let's start with the level 1 category of jobs. So here in level 1, it's the easy level. You can say it's the lower layer of data science profile. That consists of three kind of profiles: data analyst, data engineers, and automation engineer. Okay. So first, let's come to data analyst. I'll briefly cover all the six or seven categories. Then I welcome questions from you, and then we'll go for what skills you need for each category and what kind of jobs are available in the market. So let's start with the first level, data analyst. So when a company, so data analysts, like here, it's basically covers the static analysis of data. Like you are not going to transform the data. It's kind of a data validation. Like for example, you have a lot of data from the customer. Like in Amazon, suppose in Amazon you have purchase history. Whenever you go and click on a product, so you purchase that product, so that creates a data for an user. When you click a product, so a click history is generated. Suppose you just go and view some products, so a view history is generated. So all these logs are getting generated day by day. So terabytes of data. So a data analyst, basically what they do, they are a static analysis of data. So they don't go and transform the data. They will reform the data and they will validate. So whether this data is useful or not, because there are a lot of data is getting generated in Google, Facebook, in Microsoft, Bing search. So some data are useful and some data are not useful. So basically a data analyst, His job is to go and analyze and tell the company, okay, this part of data is important, this is not important, and they will simplify the data. Like suppose you have a lot of logs data, you may ask to create a visualization out of it. It could be a bar chart, it could be histogram, it could be a pie chart, it could be anything. So basically this kind of job, they focus on a static analysis. You are not going to modify the data. So data, you will tell the company this data source is important, this part of the data can be useful. You are not using it, you will only tell that it is going to be useful. So that's the part of the data analyst. So skills required. Skills required is that we are not going to machine learning now. So for data analyst, the basic skills is the skill in database. So for here, this data analyst position is mostly focused on information retrieval, like simple basic techniques like SQL, MongoDB. This database you should be very clear how the database works, how the joins work, how you will operate over multiple data sources and collect the data. So that is very important in this part of your job. So because you are not going to model anything over the data, you are just simply gathering data and you will give the insight to the company that, okay, this part of data is very useful. So you should be very clear about that, because if somebody will, some company will approach you, okay, we have a data analyst role, then you must understand that we have to be very strong in these areas, because I am not going to do any kind of algorithmic thing that will do the that will use the data. So I will just tell what the data is. Okay, now come to data engineer part. So data engineer is something very a bit different from data analyst. So data engineer, how they differ, because they transform the data. So I'll tell you a very simple difference. So in data analyst role, you have the data already, you have the logs, like I told, in Amazon, you have the logs generated. So company has a pipeline mechanism to generate all the logs. They will give the logs to data analyst. A data analyst will work on that logs and they will give the insight. But in data engineer, the thing is different. A data engineer, you will work on the pipeline to create that logs. So a data engineer mostly work on ETL pipeline. So you have must have heard the pipeline ETL. So if you have not heard, then you should remember that ETL is a pipeline: extract, transform, and load. So here you will work on how you generate the logs. So the data engineer has a slightly complex work than data analyst. So basically, you will define the pipeline when a user visit a website of Amazon, when a user purchase a product, when a user click on a product, or when you search for a query on Google, when you go to Netflix and you search for a movie series, then what kind of data you have left on that website and how that data is going to be stored. So data engineer has a work that spans around how to extract the data, how to transform it. You may, so one more example of data engineer is that sometimes you need to go to some website and crawl their data. So you may have to write a crawler from scratch. So you can go to a website and crawl the data. So scraping data is also a part of data engineer. Still, we are not going to model it. Remember, so data engineer has a slight more work than data analyst. So here you are responsible to define the pipeline, how to extract and how to load them, where to store them, how will you store them, whether you will use a table or what. So the skills required for data engineer is that you should be very much familiar with the scalability part of the data, because so as a data analyst, you are clear about database table, but as a data engineer, you should be very clear about the data storage and scalability. How you can scale? Because Amazon, Flipkart, like website, they have millions and trillions of data. So you apart from storage, you have to scale it. So that's a part of data engineer. How you will store it? How will you extract it? What is the latency? So this part you have to take care of as a data engineer. So still we have not moved to the modeling part, but this is all about data. So the last part of this is automation engineer. So a automation engineer just combine the two things of data analyst and a data engineer. It becomes a bridge between them. So how it becomes a bridge between them? So for a data analyst, analyst analyze some data, then a data engineer works on that. So these things has some manual processes. So the automation engineer try to automate that. So whenever a data engineer extract some data, load somewhere and store somewhere, those data should be automatically validated by a data analyst. So a automation engineer, his work, it involves some UX work, these things. So these three category of job profiles like data analyst, data engineer, and automation engineer, they form the lower level of job profile that we have in our companies. Like in Microsoft also, we have data analyst position. So, but they mostly work with a business organization because they need to understand the data the company generates. So where these people work, they work closely with the clients. They don't work closely with the product. So why they work with the clients? Because they deal with the data. They clean the data, they reform the data, they structure the data. So then after that, we take the data to level 2 category of jobs, and then we process it. So if you want to become one of these, like suppose you have a job profile of automation engineer, data analyst, or data engineer, then don't think of any complex machine learning model. You should, the first thing that comes into your mind is that am I strong in database? Am I strong in Selenium script that creates the automated script? Am I strong in any front end technology? Because you should not be confused by the uh, employer that, so these things should come into your mind. So because these guys mostly till the data part, they don't go to the model part. So then I'll go to level 2 category. So that is the important part where we are working. So level 2 category starts from there are four categories. One is data scientist, then machine learning engineer, then machine learning scientist, and finally research scientist. Okay, I'll cover all these four category briefly. So data scientist. Now the data scientist part is, they are the, I can say they are the lower part of this. I mean, not lower, because machine learning engineer and data science, they work on the same level. So what machine learning engineer does and for data science, I'll explain. So data scientists, they are more focused towards the mathematical aspect. So here you can ask what the mathematical aspect. Okay. So whenever you have data, so you have data from level 1. So somebody has extracted the data, somebody has analyzed it. Now you have the data. What you will do with the data? That is very important. So here comes the data scientist. Now we have data, what we will do? So the data scientists, their role is that they will apply some model. Now we are doing with the data. Now we are using the data actually. So they will apply some model on it. They will actually find the insight from the data. Okay, take the example of Amazon. Suppose you have purchase history and click history and all. Now your data scientist, they will apply some algorithm, some black box model, some algorithm, so that whenever the user will visit the site next time, he will be recommended some products, some similar products, some complementary products, some mostly viewed products. So those products, how they come, this data scientist will use this data and they will recommend some products. So the data scientist role is mostly focused on mathematics. So I'm telling you very clearly, because so I work between so my profile is between the data scientist and the machine learning scientist. So I'm an applied scientist. So I'll tell you the difference. A data scientist, to become a data scientist, so what is your focus? You should focus on mathematics, like statistics. You should be very clear on statistical part, because the language is not a barrier. So you can use any high level language, but you should be very clear about the linear algebra. Like some certain things you should be very clear is that linear algebra and probability statistics, and you can start some basic mathematics. You should be very clear, because that is the essential part of data scientist. So I cannot say that data scientists don't code. They code also, but their job is not to develop things. Their job is to create a model to give insight to the data. So they are the mathematical pillar of this layer. So who will code for them? Then if they define a model, they focus most of the time building a model pipeline to define the equations. Then who will code for them? These data scientists. With whom they will work. So they will work with machine learning engineers. They are called ML engineers. So machine learning engineer is a very challenging role actually. So that is more challenging than the data scientist. Why? I am telling you some example. So suppose you build a model, right? The model run in your local system and it is giving some recommendation. But Amazon receives some 8 million requests per second. So it's very huge, right? So your model need to withstand those requests, and your model should return those results in fraction of second. So latency is very important. And the size of your model. Suppose your model, you have built a model, you have trained a model, and your model size is 8 GB or 10 GB. You cannot put it in the production. So your model should very shrink, very small, so that you can actually put that model into production. So machine learning engineer comes into picture. They will make sure that whatever you have done, whatever mathematical model you have developed, those models should go to production. So here the deployment is very important, and here they will ensure all the pipelines from building a model to generating the results, how you will show the results, in what time you will show the results. That is very important. So to become a machine learning engineer, I will just tell you need to know what happens in the mod modeling part. Like you should know the basic mathematics. Along with, you should cover other parts, like you should be very strong in a high level language like Python. Like you should be very much strong in that. And one more very important part here for machine engineering is distributed computing. You should know how distributed computing works, how things works in cluster, because everything is in a cluster. How the algorithms, like all the algorithms, sorting, searching, whatever you are studying in the data structure, they have a distributed counterpart. If you go and study, you will find that every algorithm runs in a single machine and same algorithm runs in a cluster of machines. So that part you should learn parallelly. I recommend, because that's very interesting part. Suppose binary search. If you go and see that binary search works on parallelly, it works on a single machine, it works on multiple machines. Any graph algorithm you take, so that graph algorithm works on a single machine, works on a multiple machine. So you should learn how that algorithm works on multiple machines. So that part is very important here. And along with that, you should have knowledge on database. And along with that, you should have knowledge on cloud architectures, like how, because I'm telling about machine learning engineer. So it's not about only machine learning, because you guys are responsible to take the model to production, end-to-end production. So that's a very risky, I mean, very critical job, I can say. That is more critical than data scientists. So here, I'll also tell you what technologies you will need to learn for that. But that is very important. Okay, now let's come to machine learning scientist. So machine learning scientists, now the research starts actually. So up to these, all these roles are for developments. So the research starts from here. So machine learning scientists, you can say, so the word is scientist, right? So they are the guys, they they focus most of the time focusing on how to solve the same problem in a different way. Suppose in Amazon, some algorithms is running actually. So you are going and purchasing things, right? In Netflix, you are going and watching movie series and you are getting recommendations. In Google, you are getting the search results. So things are working already. So then what these guys will do? So these machine learning scientists, they always focus most time to find how we can optimize it, what new things we can do. So they focus on quality improvement. So their part is not to work on regular stuff. They focus most of the time on quality improvement. Quality improvement goes in background, right? Suppose whatever current algorithm we have, can we do better? So we are okay for this. We are getting 10 recommendation, but 3 recommendations are not good. But okay, seven are good. Can we get 9 recommendation good? So they work on iterative program design. So that's their part, machine learning scientist. So they work on product, they work on product itself, but that how to make that product improve. So their work is like not dependent on the deadlines. So they are at the back, I mean the background artists like that you can say. So they your company is not hampered by their work. They actually enjoy a more research oriented work. So I actually work mostly with those guys also. Sometimes my work is also iterative. Like I'm also working on improving some products. So that is actually very flexible work because you really trying to reinvent something and trying to improve. Suppose your accuracy is 0.7, you can say, okay, I have done something. The accuracy is 0.9, then it's pretty good, right? But if you can do 0.9, then also it's good because 0.7 is already there. So now come to the most relaxing guys, but the most critical guys, research scientist. So research scientist, I mean, you all the paper you see, like all the research paper by Microsoft, Facebook, Google, the top level guys, right? So they are mostly the PhD holders, I can say. So they invent new algorithms. So they hardly work on products. So they focus on completely new algorithms. So whatever algorithms you have seen in the past in machine learning field, so that comes from these research scientists. So they spend most of the time completely pure research. They work on inventing something new, and that new thing is not for that particular company. Like if I'm from Microsoft, I'm a research scientist, and if I invent something new, that have to be new for the entire world. So it's not like I have done something for Microsoft that new, because I am inventing a new algorithm. So that algorithm will be used by many companies, because we also use algorithm from Google like BERT and all. So there are some algorithms from Google and from some Facebook. Yeah, those are open source, anybody can use it. So that's the work of research scientist. Okay, so now I'll briefly cover all these seven categories, and I'll tell you what you actually needed. I mean, what you need to be one of them. So if you are a bachelor, so any bachelor can become a level 1 engineer, right? So mostly now companies are hiring for these. So level 1 is data analyst, data engineer, and automation engineer. So any bachelors can become that straight after the BTech. And what you need skills for that? So okay, I'm telling you very briefly. So for level 1, like analyst, for data analyst, you need the skills of SQL. So if you extend your knowledge to any other database, it's fine. Like if you know MongoDB, that's a NoSQL database. That is good, but SQL will be very, very strong in that. So because most of the time you will deal with data, as I told you, because so it's a data intensive, so you have to retrieve many things. So there will be multiple sources, you have to retrieve many things, you have to join them, you have to aggregate them, you have to create a report. So your work will revolve around the data. So first thing you need is SQL. So brush up your SQL skills if you want to crack the level 1. I'm not saying you can't crack level 2, so I'll come to that. So level 1 is SQL. Then choose one of the high level language. So high level language, I will recommend Python. Why Python? Because Python has, it's very flexible. Java you can choose. If you are good in Java, then fine. But try to learn at least two: one Python and Java, or Java Python. You should be strong in one and you will be moderate in some other language. That's fine. Because why I'm saying it? Because in some company they need polyglots. Polyglots means you don't expect to work on a single language. You have to switch between languages, because what happens, it depends on the modules, and it depends on the architecture. Sometimes you have to call a model from some different language, so then you have to learn that. So one is SQL, a database, one is a high level language. Then try to learn some data visualization technique. How you will create a dashboard from data. Try to learn that, and some front end technology for level 1, like data engineer, data analyst, and automation engineer. So try to learn some data visualization. If I can say, you can go for in Python also. In Python as well, there are many data visualization technique like matplotlib. And like data visualization means you have a data, you are creating some visualization like scatter plot, like histogram. How will you create that? So data visualization, many people don't focus on their bachelors, but whenever you enter a company, So whenever there will be a demo, they will ask you to how you are going to visualize it. They won't see that, okay, these many rows and columns, these are the features. They won't see that in companies. They will say, okay, try to show me in one page. Just show me in one page or one something like that. You have to create a interactive visualization. So there are many, you can go and read about them. So W is a software that is frequently used for data, how to, and in Microsoft Power BI is there. So that is one thing. So SQL, high level language, data visualization, and one thing you should learn, try to learn early. That is very important. I'll tell you. That is Selenium. Selenium is for automation. So Selenium is actually, people don't cover it. I mean, I don't know if you've heard about that, but Selenium you should learn. I mean, I recommend it because that's very simple to learn, and that is a crux of automation. You can learn it with Java or with Python. So it has APIs for Java as well as Python both. So four things you remember from my end. I'm suggesting Selenium, a high-level language, Java, Python, SQL, or and data visualization. These four things will prepare you for the level one category. Then you can be confidently take over a job from level one. So you can become a data analyst, data engineer, or automation engineer. Okay, for level two. For level two, for data scientist, you don't assume that you will skip those four. Those four will be there. Additionally, you have to learn something. For if you want to become a data scientist, you want to deal with the equations. You okay? If you're interested, okay, I'm not very much interested in data. I will want to do something using the data. Then you can go for some mathematics. So what you learn mathematics? So for mathematics, basically you should be clear in probability statistics. In statistics, there are mean, median, covariance matrix, how you compute the similarity between two text, all these things, like, and some linear algebra. Linear algebra means matrix theory. You should learn how to compute the matrix operations, inverse of a matrix, and you can say how to find the rank of a matrix, equation of linear equation systems, how to solve them using Gaussian systems. So like all these are linear algebra. So you can just remember the words linear algebra. You should learn probability statistics, because machine learning is a little bit, I mean, it's not in everybody's course, but you can start with some regression techniques like linear regression, logistic regression, basics you can start. And don't assume that you complete everything and you go to the field. Don't assume that, because it's very fast, because I'm also learning. So start with these things and go on learning. Feel confident that if you have done basic mathematics, then you can learn the advanced ones. Don't assume that, okay, I don't know the advanced ones, so I cannot go. So first learn the advanced ones. So I'll recommend you cover the basic ones, and then you can try to code them in Python, and then you can learn gradually, because this is an iterative learning process. It's not like you complete the course and you get a job. It's not like that. Everybody is learning here, everybody, every day. So that's the part of data scientist. For machine learning engineer, you have to learn some additional techniques. What are they? So as I told, distributed computing. So in that you have to learn, if you can learn how to use clusters. So in clusters, if you can learn how to use Spark, if you can learn how to use Elasticsearch, because these are some freely, I mean, open source technologies. Those are used in that part. If you learn Docker is very, I mean, very simple to learn, because whenever you create a model, you can host that somewhere. So you can use Docker. Just you can remember these terms, and you can learn how to create an API. Like whenever you create a model, you have an API. So where you can show your model, where you can send a request and you can get some response. So API thing you can learn. So again, I'm repeating, for machine learning engineer, you need the mathematical understanding, but you need to learn distributed computing. You need to learn how to use the API, REST API. You can use Flask from Python. How to use Flask? Flask is a very simple way to start how to create REST APIs. That part you can learn, and you can learn how to deploy using Docker. Because as a machine learning engineer, your role will be to take that model to production, because somebody will create a model, but you cannot keep it at your home, right? You have to put it in the production when millions of user can use that. So that thing you have to do. So it's not a theoretical research, it's a practical thing. So that's the work of machine learning engineer. So you have to learn all these techniques so that you can take that model into production, and finally a company can use it. So that's the role. So as a machine learning scientist, so here the research part starts. So then I'll recommend you go for masters. People mostly, if you go for a masters, so you need some additional study. I recommend. I mean, you can acquire the knowledge in your bachelor's also, but in your master, if you spend 2 additional year in masters, then you can focus on only machine learning, because in bachelor's you have covered a lot of things. It's not possible to hold that much of ability to become a machine learning scientist, because in ML scientist you will working to improve the quality of the model. So it's not something existing, it's you have to work on something that is not existing. Amazon has a accuracy of zero point 0.7 for its recommendation engine. You will be assigned a task where they will ask you to make it 0.9 or 0.8. I mean, it should be greater than 0.7. So here, not that thing is not existing. You have to bring it. So to bring it, you have the ability to do the research. How will you do the research? How will you tweak the existing things, existing equations? Things might get worse. It might get zero point 0.6 or zero point 0.5. How what? So that part, that ability to gain that, you need some additional time. You need some you need to give some time to learn those things, learn complex things. So masters mostly, I mean, in general I'm saying, because there are people who acquire this in their bachelors as well. I'm telling in general, people spend time. If you go for masters in machine learning or AI, there are now I mean, plenty of colleges they're providing data science, which was not in my time. So you can opt for that, because if you want to go for research, okay,
Right,
so
sir.
again you have to learn.
Yeah, right. So
And
actually, like it's already you have covered a wide spectrum of topics, and that's really good. You
okay,
covered technical skills, job profiles, how it goes in companies, and skills to start with. That's absolutely what we were looking for. But actually, we are a little short of time, and we wanted to go for some question answer which students were asking.
yeah, sure,
Uh, yeah,
yeah, sure.
so like when we released the form, one of the question which was very common and many people asked was regarding the interviews. So it was people were actually wanted to know how to crack Microsoft interviews, and what are the best tips and tricks that you can suggest them for interviews. So what would you like to tell them? Also,
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
opened the chat box for questions. So if you have any question from this session itself, you can put it there and sir will be taking one or two from that.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So tips and tricks, actually, there are none actually. I mean, these things are not straightforward, because I'm telling you, in data structure interview, you go and study, like they'll give you a list, okay, linked list, graph, binary search tree, AEA, and I mean some other things. So you cover them, trees and graphs. You cover them. You go to Geeks for Geeks, and you practice there, and you can crack them. Okay, but here there is nothing like that in Microsoft. I'm telling you, basically in other companies as well. So the tricks for data scientist is that you cover data structure, because 1 or 2 round they will go for data structure. So whatever you go and study in Geeks for Geeks, you learn that. So that is important. You go to Career Cup, you go to Geeks for Geeks, you learn linked list, because they will ask you to write a code for linked list and all. So that is a first 2 round will be on that. But the tricks to crack the data science interviews, that what I can say, learn Python, because learn Python, learn NumPy and Pandas. So in Python, if you learn the normal Python code, so NumPy and Panda are two libraries. They optimize many of the codes. So basically, they look into that, because if you will, they will ask you to write an algorithm. If you write that algorithm in Python, so it's not enough, because if you take 20 lines to write that algorithm. Using NumPy and Panda, it can be written in 3 lines. So that thing they look for. So you remember that NumPys and Pandas, these are two libraries you should very much familiar, because those are the libraries very specific to data science only in Python. That is first aspect. Second aspect, brush up your linear algebra skills. So again, I'm repeating, linear algebra is very important, because they will definitely ask you, because even if you, because see, if you don't if you're not able to answer a advanced question, that is fine, because those questions are only asked to assign you a level. I mean, if you answer those questions, they can assign you a higher level, even if you are a fresher, so they can assign you a 6 level. But even if you don't answer those questions, it is fine. But you should not be going wrong in a linear algebra question, because if you are not able to answer a linear algebra question like matrix operation, how to inverse a matrix, how to find the rank of a matrix, then it is a very, it's a knockout kind of thing, right? So I'm telling you the very critical aspects which are must. So linear algebra I should brush up for any data science interview. Uh, any other question you can we can cover, like, because I'm seeing we are running out of time.
Yes, sir.
So
So last
yeah,
question we are taking here. If our audience have any more question to let us know, we'll try to get it answered and get back to you. And the
okay,
last question we have is, as majority of our audience today stands at the beginner or intermediate level. So
okay.
talking about projects and interns, what kind of projects you think they should start with, or what kind of intern they should go for in the very beginner stage? What would you like to tell them?
So so okay, that's again, that question cannot be answered very shortly, because that the answer itself has a couple of things to cover. So see, I'll try to cover it very shortly. So as an intern, there are many things you can explore actually, but I will cover a couple of important things. So if you want to start any project, so go for any natural language processing project. So there are couple of categories like image processing, natural language processing, speech, and in other category, if you have financial data science. So I'll say you go for financial data science or NLP. So those are the most important area, and people seeking, most companies are working are inclined towards this, because the NLP has a wide range of application. So why I'm telling you, see, yes, we are running out of time, because these questions are like uh, these things are very abstract. So why NLP is important, like whenever every field, Google search, Facebook comments, you go to Amazon review, you go to a chatbot, you go to anywhere, right? So there are text and text. So if you start working on NLP, then it is very easy that if you can show some company that I have done something on NLP, then it is very high probability that they will, I mean, they can hire you as an intern. But image is taking a very saturation level. So image is good. If you tell that I have worked on satellite images, I have worked on medical images, some other images, it is good. But NLP has taken it in a large margin. And one is financial data science. Financial data science is like that stock market prediction. If you are dealing with the financial data, that is called that involves time series analysis. That's a different domain actually. So that is a very hot domain. So if you can show something that I have done something in financial data, I have taken the data of this much stock and I have predicted this will be the stock up and down using time series. In this corona, also the corona days, they use time series, right? So time series is a very important field. So NLP and time series, these are two very emerging field. I'll suggest if you go in these two areas, high probability is there you can land up in a good company for any intern or what, because that's what we are doing.
Right, sir. Thank you for answering questions. And we actually have a lot of questions, but we are short of time, so we need to wrap it up here. And we thank you a lot for taking time out of your busy schedule and presenting such a vivid presentation and like covering so many topics. I'm
Yeah,
sure all the
it's
audience
okay.
must have gained a lot. So thank you so much. And thanks to our audience too for showing so much enthusiasm and being so interested in the topic and cooperating with us. We will love to know your feedback. So we will be mailing a feedback form to your mail IDs, and do let us know what you felt about it. And if you think we can improve on it, what kind of lectures would you love to like have in future? We will try to bring that down for you. So do let us know whatever you felt about this, if anything you felt was really good or where we can improve in future.
Okay.
So that would be mailed. So thank you, sir. Thanks to our audience, and stay tuned till our next series, and stay connected, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.